Ruben Amorim aims a brutal dig at Marcus Rashford. Anything can happen with Garnacho's situation. Manchester United are preparing a third offer for Patrick Dorgu. Álvaro Fernández is also of interest according to David Ornstein, and Nkunku inquiry has been made. Casemiro to Turkey. All this plus more in today's video as we run through all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news that will keep you right up to date with everything. Welcome to Man United Review. My name's Jamie. Before we get into it, smash a like on the video. Let's jump straight into it. So firstly, give us your thoughts in the comments on the performance and the result yesterday. I'm going to be very quick in my summary. It was boring, but a win is a win. That's it. I don't think there's anything else to go through. It was almost a nothing game where our forward line is just so inept at the moment. We can't create chances. We've had 2 shots on target in two Premier League games. One was a penalty and the other one was that deflected effort by Martinez yesterday. But 2 wins in a row. When was the last time we got 2 wins in a row? Obviously the Rangers and then today. But small baby steps, isn't it? It's baby steps. But apart from that, that was it. There was nothing really much else going on. I thought Collier, but that goal line clearance saved us 2 points. And I thought Rasmus Højlund was absolutely atrocious. And don't want to dig out one player, but he put in probably the worst performance I think I've ever seen from a forward at United. And I include Wout Weghorst and Aguero, and it was really, really bad. Feel sorry for Rasmus Højlund because he's coming under a lot of stick at the moment. He is a young lad, but you've got to be doing better than that. You've got to do the basics right. I can understand off strikers for not scoring goals because we don't create that many chances. But if you can't hold up the ball, if you can't pass the ball, if you can't make runs, if you're not doing that, then that's a problem in my opinion. But apart from that, boring, but a win's a win. Let me know what you think in the comments. Now let's go through the Rashford comments first. I don't know if you've seen this, but Ruben Amorim was pretty much on fire again in his post-match interviews, and absolutely a brutal dig at Marcus Rashford. So let's go through what he said. So when he was asked on why Rashford was still sidelined, he said, "It's always the same reason, the training. The way I see a footballer should do in life, in every day, every detail." And then he also said, it's the same situation. If things don't change, I won't change, regarding Marcus Rashford. And then he said, I would put George Vital, the goalkeeping coach, on the bench before a player who doesn't give the maximum. So Ruben Amorim, absolutely salamming. He didn't, in that part, to give him credit, to give context, right? He didn't actually say Marcus Rashford's name, but he was talking about Marcus Rashford beforehand. He was asked the questions about why Rashford's not here, and effectively he was saying, well, because of how he's training, and not just how he's training, what he's doing in life, he said. So that suggests to me his lifestyle is causing a bit of an issue behind the scenes, and that any player that does that, he'd not put them on the bench regardless of who it is, and he'd rather put his goalkeeping coach on the bench than any player that's not doing the things that he expects as a professional footballer off the pitch, in training, in life, as he mentioned in the comments before. And that's absolutely a brutal dig. I've said for a while, there's something happened behind the scenes with Marcus Rashford that we're unaware of, whether it is lifestyle, things off the pitch. Obviously, we had Laurie Whitwell before saying that he was out the night before the Everton game, lied about it to Ruben Amorim, and then went out the night before another game as well that Amorim kind of took a bit of an issue with, and rightly so as well. And then obviously he was dropped, and he's never been seen since. He's been on the bench once, hasn't he, because of lack of options. But even now, we've got no forwards to bring off the bench apart from either Xerxes or Højlund, depending on who you're starting, because Anthony's gone out on loan now. I'm very light in that area, and still Rashford can't make the bench. Says it all about everything that's kind of going on. It's something happened behind the scenes. And like Amorim said there in the previous kind of, if I go back to the first one, it's the same reason. The training, the way I see football, should do life in every detail as well. So again, let me know what you think about that in the comments. But just on Rashford, Romano was saying that Barcelona are keeping contacts active for Marcus Rashford in case Ansu Fati decides to leave. And there's been a report this morning suggesting that he's turned down an offer from Galatasaray for a 6-month loan because he wants to stay in one of the big leagues. But Love your thoughts on that. Let me know what you think about the kind of quotes from Ruben Amorim on Marcus Rashford in the comments. Now, another player that he kind of mentioned in his press conferences was Garnacho. So Amorim on Garnacho's future, he said, "Nobody knows, anything can happen. He is improving in all areas of the game, the way he's defending, the understanding of the game. I am trying to find the best position for him. Today he played a little less inside, but, Ruben Amorim saying nobody knows, anything can happen regarding the future of Alejandro Garnacho. There's not really been any more updates over the weekend regarding the situations. Chelsea is still in the mix. Obviously, the video I bought you Saturday was saying Chelsea is still there, preparing an offer, but then Napoli could still be back in the race as well. And it just depends. I think with Garnacho, if he wants to go and the value's right, it might be a deal that goes through. But if not, I don't think they're necessarily forcing him out, because Amorim obviously is playing him. He was saying there he wants to keep him. He's developing him. But, if he what if he wants to go himself? You don't know, do you? So, but I'll bring you any updates if they come out. And then in terms of replacements, Tyler Dibling and Kuno are among options as replacements for Alejandro Garnacho if he leaves. That came from United Scout, who are a decent source. Not the first time we've heard Tyler Dibling and Matheus Cunha. It's going to be interesting because we're so late in the transfer window now. Typical United leaving it till last minute to get some deals done. We are very light up front. Dorgu coming in, I think if we go for Dorgu and get it, and I'll go through all of his news next, I think he's more of an attacking left back, can play right wing as well, so he can play in a few different positions. Is a little bit more attacking, so that will kind of help us, I think, it as being like an extra body going forward in attack. But we're still very light. I still think we need another forward, especially with Anthony going. But then also, obviously the Rashford situation as well. Effectively, we're 2 forwards down in an area that we were already struggling in. But yeah, it's massively frustrating. We'll have to see what we can do for the rest of the window. But let me know what you think in the comments. Now, just mention the player there. Let's run through the Dorgu latest. So Manchester United are considering making a new offer for Patrick Dorgu, which would be closer to £34 million in total, with the inclusions of various bonuses that came from Matteo, who's been really good this transfer window regarding the Dorgu situation, the Garnacho situation were actually broken stories before Ornstein and Romano, so he's one that I'm paying attention to at the moment. Fabrizio Romano also confirmed the story. Those say that Manchester United are not giving up on Patrick Dorgu deal as negotiations continue. Lecce turned down over €30 million from United, but add-ons can be included in new proposal to try to make it happen. Ben Jacobs said that Manchester United are still intent on signing Patrick Dorgu, third offer incoming, with clubs currently €5 million apart. United prepared to go higher with their offer. Another Italian journalist who's fairly decent said that United are set to increase their bid for Dorgu to 37 or 38 million euros. United have an agreement with Dorgu for a 5-year deal, saying that we've agreed terms with Dorgu. We're just negotiating the price, and we're going to increase our bid probably to a closer to what, remember, Lecce want 40 million euros. That's their kind of price that they're insisting on for Dorgu. And then Manchester United are set to approach Lecce again this week for Patrick Dorgu. Add-ons will be key for the final proposal to get closer to Lecce's £34 million valuation that came out this morning from Fabrizio Romano. So talks are still ongoing regarding Dorgu. Looks like, I've said before, be around £30 million or 28 with some add-ons to get up to the kind of value that Lecce would be happy to accept. And, it is what it is with this. We've left ourselves in a position where we're going to have to overpay for anyone apart from Álvaro because he's got a buyback clause. But even if Álvaro didn't have a buyback clause, we'd have to overpay for him as well, because we've left ourselves in a position where every single team in the world knows we need a left back. And if we go for their left back, they're going to be like, well, you're desperate, so we're going to increase the price. And we've just shot ourselves in the foot by not addressing this issue in the summer, I think. And you're leaving it so late in the January transfer window as well that you're going to have to overpay, I think, and we're just going to have to suck it up, and that's it. But then just on Álvaro, Manchester United are interested in re-signing Álvaro Fernández as an alternative to Patrick Dorgu. That came from Rob Dawson, who also said that talks with Lecce for Patrick Dorgu ongoing, but no guarantee it will happen. The Álvaro Fernández deal could be done quickly because of their buyback option. And David Ornstein said United are interested in Álvaro Fernández. 18 million euro buyback clause is active. So that's important because there's been some reports suggesting that, well, a little bit unknown around whether his buyback clause is active in the January transfer window or whether it's in the summer. But Ornstein's saying no, it's active in the January transfer window. So 18 million euros or around 16 million pounds is the price for Álvaro. But let me know what you think about the left back situation, because I'm of the opinion, right, that you've got to try and get your manager your first choice. And if the first choice is clearly Dorgu, because if the first choice was Álvaro, we could have done it, surely we would have done it by now. So that suggests to me that the first choice for him is Patrick Dorgu. Maybe that's even his second choice, because we were heavily linked with Nuno Mendes, but Nuno Mendes is too expensive. We can't do that in January. So we've moved on to Patrick Dorgu, who seems to maybe be the second choice if we're going off of the rumours. And I don't think £30 million or 34 with some add-ons is a massive amount of money to pay for a 20-year-old international left-back that's got potential to be a very good left back for the next 10 years if he's scouted right, if he's scouted correctly, and they've kind of looked at it. £30 million for that sort of player, I don't think is a bad deal, because I know, but it is overpaying because Lecce are pulling, but then Lecce, he's their cash cow, he's their most prized asset, the one that they can actually get the most value of money for. They were asking for 40 million euros from Chelsea and Tottenham, so their valuation has never dithered on Patrick Dorgu. So the kind of question is, or the point I'm making is, do you overpay, or what's perceived as overpaying for Patrick Dorgu to get what was already effectively your second choice left back, or do you then just go for your third choice with Álvaro just because he's cheaper? And I don't want to be a hypocrite. I've always said we need to be getting the first choice for managers, because look at the problems we've got in the squad without going for first choices. Like Ten Hag wanted Harry Kane and we ended up with Rasmus Højlund, who we've already spoken about. He wanted Frankie de Jong, we ended up with Casemiro. Do you know what I mean? And that's probably throughout the... And it's difficult to always get your first choice, I suppose. But, what do you do? What do you do on that situation? I'd love your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what you think down below. Now let's move on to Nkunku. So Manchester United have asked about the possibility of Christopher Nkunku on loan from Chelsea. That came from Simon Jones in the Mail Sport, the Mail and the Mail, the shit stirrers sometimes, but Simon Jones is actually a decent kind of source regarding that. I would take Nkunku on loan if it's not a swap, if it's not 70 million, short term till the end of the season, and then do like a try before you buy, because his injury record last season was horrific, although this season's actually been fairly decent, but he's not playing as many games. I think the problem with Nkunku is that Cole Palmer's just so good that he's kind of dropped him down the pecking order a little bit as well. But very good player, definitely one that would improve our attack immensely. I think Nkunku, I think he's a great player. So short-term loan, I would be okay with. But I just worry about the whole Garnacho swap and £70 million that we had over the weekend. But let me know what you think about Nkunku on loan in the comments. Now, player I just mentioned there, Casemiro. So Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has asked Besiktas to sign Casemiro before the transfer deadline. Now, that came from AS, a good Spanish outlet, 3.3 million followers. So I'm going to assume they're fairly decent and fairly credible. That would be really interesting, because the news or the noise around Casemiro has gone really, really quiet. Obviously, the Saudi Pro League were heavily linked with him at the start of the transfer window, but by all accounts, nothing's materialised from that. We've had a few snippets about potential interest from MLS, but again, nothing really kind of significant from there. Besiktas, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer taking him to Besiktas would be a good kind of solution for us. Because he's clearly out of favour, isn't he? He's clearly out of favour. He's like Rashford. I think he's obviously being on the bench, though, and involved in the squads because he's professional off the pitch and training well, but I just don't think he fits what we're looking to do. And it's a clear indication of the fact Toby Collier's now taking his place in the team, which I'm grateful for, because I've said after the Newcastle game, like, Toby Collier must be really shit if Casemiro and Eriksen are playing ahead of him. And actually that's been proven wrong, because I think he's actually been doing really well in his cameo performances recently, Toby Collier. So yeah, Casemiro's a problem that if we can get him out of the club, the wages and everything like that around him would be really good. But we'll keep an eye on it for you. Let me know what you think in the comments. And then the final story I got for you, this came out over the weekend regarding Old Trafford. So Manchester United are expected to press ahead with new stadium and demolish Old Trafford. That came from Mike Keegan in the Daily Mail, who's a good source. I don't know if you've seen it, but the government announced that they were potentially going to be doing some funding towards the regeneration of the area, not funding building Old Trafford, just to be clear, because what the plan is, I think, is to build the new 100,000-seater stadium, but then renovate the entire area around the stadium as well, with like shops and hotels and houses, and do all of this stuff, which obviously United are not going to pay for all of that themselves. But by all accounts, the government are willing to back the project with some funding for the regeneration of the area, but we'll still have to cough up and pay for the stadium itself. So that looks like it's going to be going ahead. And Melissa Reddy said Old Trafford regeneration project is expected to raise more than $7 billion for the UK economy and create around 90,000 jobs. So that's the reason why the UK government are kind of getting involved, because of it's a complete regeneration of the entire area, and that's and that will then help us, obviously not necessarily fund, but it will help us with the income and stuff. But we're still going to have to fund the stadium ourselves. But let me know how you think about that and what you feel about that in the comments. It's obviously bittersweet because Old Trafford holds so many memories for everybody for different reasons. But sometimes you've got to move with the times as well, haven't you? With everything that's going on. So, but let me know what you think about that in the comments. Let me know what you think about all the other topics discussed in today's video, because that's all up to date with the latest Manchester United news and transfer news. Don't forget to smash a like on the video on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. See you in the next one.